This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 1118, Forming New Habits. Train to be an amateur, not an expert, by Nir Eyal of nirandfar.com. And I'm Justin Malik, your host, and the guy that finds amazing blogs that I really think you should hear and narrates them for you totally free of charge. Just hit subscribe in your favorite podcast app. And by the way, this is always with permission from the authors. And I'll keep this intro nice and short for you, so let's jump right in and start optimizing your life. Forming New Habits. Train to be an amateur, not an expert, by Nir Eyal of nirandfar.com. Today's top-selling books are about how to acquire world-class skill. Daniel Coyle's The Talent Code looks at how deliberate practice is required to achieve greatness. Joshua Foer shows us how we must smash past performance plateaus to be any good. Worse, Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour series is doing for hipsters what crash diets do for teenage girls, making promises of quick transformations. These authors' methods work, yet they are all dead wrong. They focus on techniques used by the very best in a field. But what about the other 99% of us? I bet your goals sound a lot more like, I wish I could lose a few pounds, or I'd like to save money, rather than, I want to win the US Open, or I wish I was a billionaire. But authors focus myopically on the techniques used by notable greats because we all assume the great ones have discovered a secret, which, if we only knew, would ensure our success as well. Implying you know the secret sells a lot of books, but there are no secrets, and what makes a Steve Jobs or a Michael Jordan is not going to help you lose that spare tire around your waist. Instead of wishing you could be like Mike, you need to focus on and enjoy the small, everyday tasks in order to accomplish those long-standing, stubborn goals, such as, I need to exercise more. In short, you need to become an amateur. An amateur is a consistent practitioner of a healthful habit. The amateur practices a behavior because they enjoy it and it becomes part of their identity. Like a runner who can't wait to hit the road, or a vegetarian who prefers the taste of the food she eats, amateurs practice their behaviors for the love of the activity and require no willpower to make choices others see as difficult. Just imagine that. Amateurs gain pleasure by doing things others find difficult. What could you accomplish if you enjoyed doing the things you need to do, the things you know are good for you but you dread doing? Unfortunately, you'll never see a New York Times bestseller titled, How to Become an Amateur. But in order to have the things we want in life, that's exactly the methodology we need to learn. First, I should mention that these techniques are for forming new habits, not breaking old ones. Next, recognize that there are two distinct modes for acquiring habits, an amateur mode and the expert mode. Becoming an amateur is about going from doing nothing or very little to forming a consistent behavior. Changing our behavior to consistently exercise, eat right, save money, or more fully enjoy time with our family requires forming new habits, which over time give us what we want. In fact, even goals such as consistently exercising and eating right are too big for the budding amateur. You have to break them down into much smaller actions to form new habits. In the graph in this post, I define the stages of acquiring skill over time. Starting from a point of little skill, we reach a point where we make a decision to start on a journey. This initially sounds something like, I really need to work out more. But this initial thought needs to be broken down into an easily achievable behavior if we are to become amateurs. To begin forming new habits, we need to find an MEA, a minimal enjoyable action. An MEA is a behavior which is so easy and enjoyable that we do it virtually without effort. And most importantly, we can do it consistently. Our MEA, as we begin the journey to a healthy lifestyle, might be, I'm going to walk for 3 minutes each day. In the process of regularly doing our MEA, we not only build skill, but we strengthen our willpower. Studies have demonstrated that rewarding your brain with small success experiences builds willpower over time. Once the MEA turns into a habit, it allows for expansion of slightly more advanced behaviors, such as walking for a few minutes more or increasing the pace. Through consistent practice of the MEA, both skill and willpower are increased until doing what once seemed difficult becomes easy. Soon, the amateur is running several miles per day, accomplishing his goal of living a more healthful life. Over time, we reach what Foer calls the OK plateau, a stage where our skills don't measurably improve, but we continue to practice. For most of us, the OK plateau is better than OK, it's just peachy. It's here where we are exercising regularly, enjoying ourselves, and leading happier lives, having formed new healthful habits. Some people aren't satisfied with being amateurs and they make a decision to become experts. Most of us are already striving to become an expert in some aspect of our lives, and I would propose that we can truly only become experts in one, maybe two fields. Becoming an expert requires deliberate practice, competition, and performance goals. It is here that teachers of expert methodologies such as Covey, Foer, and Coyle can be very helpful. It's important to recognize the different techniques used in these two distinct modes of acquiring skill and recognize that doing them in the wrong order leads to failure. Relying on rigid goals and competition before you've established the skill and willpower needed to sustain it will lead to burnout and self-loathing. Instead of looking for fixes and bestsellers, understand how to engineer your behavior by recognizing the methodology of becoming an amateur. As an amateur, you can ditch the need to push yourself to exhaustion and instead create habits that you do almost effortlessly. Consistently and enjoyably practicing these habits makes all the difference in a life well lived. You just listened to the post titled, Forming New Habits, Train to be an Amateur, Not an Expert, by Nir Eyal of nirandfar.com. And Nir is spelled N-I-R, and this was actually co-authored with Charles Wang, an accomplished psychiatrist. And like I mentioned yesterday, the greatest thing you can do to give back to this show right now is to simply share it with friends or family or on social media, anywhere. That would mean a lot. You can direct people to oldpodcast.com or show them how to subscribe on their smartphone. And I'll keep this ending nice and short for you. Thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.